I copied the world's biggest info coaching business offer strategy, and it changed me and my client's life. I ran from zero to $11,000 a month cash collected in just 2 months of launching my brand new offer. I personally took home around 70% profit at just 18 years old and was able to close the biggest German e-commerce coaches, Niklas Spellmeyer, and he's now my agency client. So if I can pull off something like that, what makes you think that you can't do it? I want to show you exactly what I did so you can do the exact same. Now, before we even go into the entire offer creation process, we got to understand why this offer blueprint actually works. We are up against an overcrowded market where trust is low, offers all look alike, people literally sell bullshit, and skepticism runs high. Iman Gadzhi created an offer that allowed him to be the go-to name in his niche and stand out even though his market was flooded. What I did, I took it, I ripped it, and it made me 11k a month at just 18 years old. In this video we're going over how do you create an offer that people feel dumb to not to buy, how you price your offer, and also we're going over the bonuses and guarantees, which in my opinion was really a game changer when it came to creating an offer and generating sales. So first we're going over how do you create an offer. First of all, we have the 4 principles, and the 4 principles of how to create an offer that people will feel dumb not to buy are extreme pain, purchasing power, easy to target, and a growing market. Let's say this is our ideal client, okay? He's broke, insecure, and young. The first thing that you ever got to do when it comes to creating an offer is to literally phrase it. Because imagine a guy walking up to you and he's your ideal client and you're just stumbling and can't even explain what you're offering to him. Literally, this was me when I had my first sales call and I actually had my business like 2 to 3 months. I remember how I felt because I felt so dumb. Because at that moment I realized if I would have just like thought about it and really like would have gone into detail what I'm actually offering, I would have had so much more confidence because I then knew how I would be able to help them and also position my content. And so actually I'm not a coach of a coach. I'm helping them with their personal brand. But I think it's really important to dive in first your like offer because then you get so much clarity on what to work on. So the first thing would be to literally phrase it. And to literally give you an example on how important this is, I wrote down 3 sentences, okay? And the first one is a coach and he says, I help people achieve their dream business, okay? And what is this sentence? It's really bad because like you help a lot of people, you target a lot of people with that and you just say achieve the dream business, but it could be like literally any kind of business. It could be any kind of business and you're not really targeting anyone. It sounds like a low paid community and you could just charge $100 because you're like targeting so many people. But let me get into more detail on what I actually mean. And so the second sentence would be, I help broke people to build their agency. So now we said that we at least target broke people. And so if I'm a broke person, I would like feel a little bit like talked to. And also if I have an agency, I also would feel like I'm being talked to, but still it's like a little bit vague. But here is the third sentence and you can't lie, this is the best sentence. I help stressed entrepreneurs scale their SMMA and build their dream life without sending thousands of cold messages a day. And you literally could charge $10,000 for this. And this is also what Iman Gadzhi does. Because the reason why it works so well is if you can articulate their problems better, you can articulate their solutions to their problems better. Meaning that your solution literally looks like something that is tailored to them. And if you're like wanting to have a suit, you wouldn't just go to like a Primark, you would like to go to a tailor shop because like literally that's what they offer. And you also would expect better quality, right? You would expect a better solution because it's literally meant for you. If you're having a wedding, you wouldn't go to Primark, you would go to a literally like store that makes suits, and you also would pay more because you actually think that they are capable of giving you the solution. And so if you can articulate their problem, just having, for example, a bad suit, or in this case, not making enough money with their social media agency, then that means that you can also charge more. So the goal of great writing is for the reader to understand, but the goal of great copy is for the prospect to feel understood. And Alex Hormozi actually says this so often: if you can articulate the problem of your prospect better than he can, you will ready. That's not how he actually said it, but he said it somehow like that, and it's so fucking true. So really think about, okay, how can you like make your sentence as clear as possible? And luckily you're watching a video of me, meaning that I always give you like actionable steps. And so here's the framework, okay? So you say, I help specific outcome in time period without biggest fear pain, okay? And so an example for me, for example, would be I help entrepreneurs monetize their personal brand in 30 days without having to spend all day creating content. And you see, like, this is very specific because I have entrepreneurs that want to scale their business and monetize their brand within 30 days without having to spend content all day, because that's something a lot of business owners fear because they don't have the time for it. And so this is a pretty solid like sentence. And so this is the first thing. You now have your first sentence, and this is literally so important. But now we're also going over something that literally changed my entire business, and this is having a clarity on the perceived problems. Because let's say you're in a sales call and you're like getting so many objections and you don't know what to say, and you're literally like just sitting there and saying, yeah, right. For example, that you're so young, you don't know how to do content. What do you say? You don't know it maybe yet. But therefore we have the perceived problems, and by getting an idea of the perceived problems, we can literally like think about it, make the solutions in our program, and also make content about it. Okay, because as I said, I'm a content guy, and I also think like talking about perceived problems that your client could face or your prospect could face when it comes to looking at your offer, this is like a game changer. So ask yourself, what perceived problems would the client have about your offer? Write them all down and answer them all. For example, no experience in running an SMMA. This would be something that Iman Gadzhi could face, okay? And he said, okay, I already had an agency when he was at 16 and he made $1 million before 18 with it, okay? Obviously, we all know this is like cap, you know, like it's cap, but still it like isn't like objection handling, okay? And so the second one would be, for example, it's not going to work for them, but he has over 1,000 students that made 5-figure months, so he has client studies. So those are like just two for Iman, for example. But if you're like a fitness coach, like also ask yourself, okay, what is the problem that he could face? For example, that he's not a disciplined guy. So now you maybe have an accountability system for it, okay? And so if you're done this, the next thing would be to list out the 5 main deliverables your offer provides. And I bet 90% of you guys wouldn't be able to write down 5 main deliverables of your offer in the next 60 seconds. But again, it's so important to have clarity. And so really ask yourself, okay, do I even have 5? And if not, what the fuck am I even doing? Okay. And then just write them down and think about them. Okay. So for example, for me, it would be rebuilding the offer, content strategy for ICDP, creating content, building sales assets, and weekly accountable calls. Okay. And so Iman Gadzhi literally did the same. That, you know, like, of course, this offer is a bit different from yours because he's such a big person that he doesn't have to like showcase all his case studies, but also he's like saying what he offers in one sentence. Okay. Digital Launchpad is Iman Gadzhi's introductory program to break free from the bad habits that keep you stuck so you can unlock your full potential. Literally, I've got to say that that's still a vague sentence, but again, it's working for him because it's like a startup program and he's also such a big name. So people that like him will be likely to just buy. I would personally make it more specific. And yeah, so this is an example of Iman Gadzhi. Okay, so this is the first thing, the offer components to identify the dream outcome. And once you've got this, you're like literally, like I guarantee if you just implement those things and really like get the sentence into your mind, then it will be so much easier to make content, to literally speak to prospects. Okay, and so this is very important. And the third thing of creating an offer people would feel dumb not to buy is creating insane value. And this is something that sounds so obvious, but I so often seen it with when I talk to like coaches that they have an offer and the price is good, but the value is bad. And so your price could be at 0, but if the value is bad, still no one would buy. And so this is really important. Okay. The 2 things that you can do to literally double your value are 2 things. Okay. So the first question that you can ask yourself is, what would I deliver if my product costs 10 times its current amount? Let's say you're running a fitness coaching offer and you have like a program for 3K. Okay. And just imagine what could be included if it would be $30,000. And the reason why we do this is simply because then we get an idea of what we could possibly do. Because let's say for me, it would be creating sales assets, hiring a closer for them, and automations and systems. And so often when we think about those things, we come up with ideas and then later realize, okay, actually I don't even need to like double the price in order to be able to put this in my program. And so what happens is you get so much value in your program without spending more money that you're like literally like the best in the market, okay? Because we often are limiting our mind. Oh, I'm just 5K. I can't do this. It's too much. But if you want to be the best, and the reason why you're watching this is because you want to be the best, because you want to create an offer that literally people feel dumb to not to buy, you got to create insane value, okay? This is literally the key. And so really think about it, okay? Creating sales assets. Yeah, it would cost me something. Would it be durable? Yes, maybe. Hiring a closer? Okay, maybe not, maybe yes. But automations and systems, of course, it would be possible. Like literally automations are automations. I also could automate automations for my clients for like booking pages or whatever, you know. And also if you're like a fitness coach or something, yeah, or like an e-commerce coach, it doesn't matter. You could build accountability systems that your clients can put in their EODs, and then you literally get a list of it. You can like keep them accountable to each other, or just keep them accountable to you. And yeah, this would be a great thing that makes your product more valuable. Also systems, okay, that help them to get their nutrition right or something, you know. The second question that you gotta ask yourself is, what would I deliver if my product cost a tenth its current cost and had to provide more value than I currently am at my current price? Because again, often we think we gotta do this and that, and then we have like bad margins. But the actual truth is that oftentimes we can make some things in our program that are cheaper to make and actually help us make more value. For example, group calls. If you have an offer and there are already like a few people in, make group calls, literally. Like, yes, one-on-one is cool, but actually having a group of people that are like-minded and also going through the same shit and also having the same goals, pretty cool. And so you would spend less time, because then you don't have to do one-on-one, and they would also get all their questions answered. And video models. Literally, video models, like, I don't know why you wouldn't do video models as a coach, honestly. Like, you could do so many things and then nobody would have a question anymore. I'm literally in a program where I don't even have questions anymore, because there's such an like detailed video model course that everything is answered. And so you can just record it once. It doesn't cost you any money, maybe cutting a bit. And yeah, and also accountability systems that literally cost you nothing, but they are really good. And so now you're providing value, maybe even more than you're doing before, because you literally give them a community feeling, which is like the most important thing in the coaching, literally having a community. And you're also spending less money. And so if you combine both, like the things that you thought would cost more, but you can actually implement, and where you can at the other side cut costs and even provide more value, that's like literally perfect. And sorry for like taking so much time on this like specific thing, but I think it's just a great idea. It's just really genius. Okay. And also Iman Gadzhi does this again, because he literally has like video models that you can just watch. Okay. So this is the first step of creating an offer. But obviously something that's really, really important is pricing your offer. Okay. So pricing your offer will literally change your life. And that also did mine. Okay. Because I could do literally a 60-hour video about just pricing your offer and why it is so important to price it right. But I'm going to break it down in easy steps that you can implement directly to literally quadruple or even 10 times more than you're even doing right now. Okay. Because being able to charge way more than you're doing right now without having to lose potential clients is literally the best thing ever. Okay. And so this is really important if you want to do a shit ton of money. And actually, I also paid like $10,000 to get this information, because I paid into a program with like a lot of coaches. And those are the information that I got over the last 3 months. Okay. And so the first thing is how to price your offer. So if you're a beginner, then look at your competitors, charge what they're charging, and get some good case studies. You want to get good case studies. And yes, you could charge way more than from the beginning, but you just want to get fast case studies, and then it's also easier to charge a lot of money. If you're not a beginner anymore and you already have some clients, I would literally just skip this step and go over to the next one. And this one is to increase the price by $1,000 until you have an around 35% closing rate. If you have good closing skills, because if you just have shit closing skills, then this isn't really working. But if you have like pretty solid closing skills, then it will work for you. So let's say you are charging 3K, do 4K, do 5K until you have a 35% closing rate. Because if you have good closing skills and you have 60%, chances are high you're just as cheap. And this is something really important, okay? Increase your price and see what happens until you get 30% closing rate when you have good closing skills, okay? Let's move on to the next thing. And a nice metaphor I want to tell you is you can only go down to zero with price, but you can go infinitely high with the value. And so Iman Gadzhi exactly did the same thing. He literally charged for one workshop 18K, okay? And so why he was able to charge 18K? Because they have so much value that it literally felt like you give money to Iman Gadzhi to get more money. And so this is what I mean. Like, you can go down with the value, you can go down with the price, but once you reach zero, there's no going, then you're at the bottom, you know? But you can do so much value that literally even 100K would feel like a good investment, because if you have an offer that creates $200,000 for your client, then you would also pay 100K, obviously. And also for fitness coaching, if you change the entire life, if you make them obviously it's over exaggerated, but if you make him Mr. Olympia, some people will charge millions for that or even spend millions for that, okay? And the second reason why it's so important to actually charge a lot of money, and that I would also tell you to always charge a lot of money, is the perceived value, okay? And so the next thing is the perceived value, okay? Because you might wonder to yourself, okay, how is Iman even possible to charge 18K? And it's perceived value, okay? People expect to get more when they pay more. For example, if you have like two gift wrapped cars, and one is 100K and the other one is $1,000, you would literally expect the gift for 100K to be more valuable, literally. And so it's the same with having a coaching offer, even though it's the same thing. Okay, people perceive more value if you charge more or if the price is higher. Because what happens when you charge a lot of money? The prospect asks himself, okay, what does this guy offer to be able to raise such high prices? Okay, because if you're like literally just charging what everybody else charges, people won't see you as like just great, okay? And so on the other hand, if you're like charging a low amount of money, people will ask themselves, why does this guy only charge that amount? Is he really that bad? Because why would you charge $1,000 for a program that's worth 10,000? You know, why would you do that? You wouldn't. And when you charge 1,000, you're literally saying to the prospect, hey, I'm just $1,000 worth. But if you're saying to a client, this program costs $10,000, he will also think that you're valuable, okay? And he also will ask himself, okay, what does this guy even offer? So be so expensive that the customer thinks what he offers can't be the same as these 100 guys that all charge around like 3K or something. Because if you just charge like your competition, you're literally giving off the vibe that you're literally the same. And especially in a market where so many scammers, you don't want to be like in comparison with those people. And if you charge so much more, guess what? You will be a category of one. And you gotta really do it, okay? I know it's really hard, but if you once understand, okay, this is what I'm offering and it's actually worth that money, then fucking charge that money, okay? Don't be shy, stand your ground and actually charge a lot of money for your offer. Those are the typical mistakes to avoid. And so the next thing would be the success principle. Okay, what is the success principle? Okay, now you're asking yourself, okay, Finn, I don't know what I'm charging right now because like I don't have comparison and everything. And I don't know how to charge more and how to give more value and everything. And so this is the success principle, okay? Because there are 4 metrics, okay? The first one is the dream outcome. The second one is the perceived likelihood of success and the time delay and the effort and sacrifice. Depending on how high these things are, it determines your price, okay? And so what does it mean? The dream outcome means, is the end result meaningful to them? And if it's high, you can charge more. Do they think perceived likelihood of success? Do they think they're actually going to succeed? Is it high? You can charge more. Time delay. How long would it take them to see the results? Is it high? You can charge less. Effort and sacrifice are additional costs to achieve the result, because if they're high, you can't charge less because they literally have to pay more. So our goal now in our program to make it as much valuable as possible and to charge as much money as we want to is to decrease time, effort and sacrifice, and to ask yourself, how can I make it more convenient, seamless and less effort? Because if you have a way to get $1 million in 1 month and there's no risk, obviously you would pay like 500K for it, okay? And so the goal with your program is to literally decrease the time, effort and sacrifice, and also to make it more convenient, seamless and less effort. After you've done that, you should increase meaningfulness of the end result, increase the likelihood of success. So ask yourself, okay, what can I do, for example, to make it more meaningful? Okay, what can I do? Like what does it even mean for my client to get in shape? It changes his relationship, it changes the relationship to his family, it changes his health, it changes his life, okay? And so you could, for example, do it in the content. Again, I'm like literally showing you always the content thing because I'm a content guy. But Iman Gadzhi made a video about how he surprised his mom with a $4 million dream house. Why? Because this means, okay, if I do also an agency, this is the meaning of it, and the meaningfulness of the end result gets way higher. And also the increasing of the likelihood of success. Okay, now I like literally cropped the text I just saw, but like this video is about how to easily get 20K per month. And so this video is like how you can increase the likelihood of succeed, okay? He also posted a video on how to close 70% more SMMA clients. So how can you make it more seamless and less effort to run an agency? He literally said, okay, this is a strategy, okay? And so really think about those things. So lower these things here and increase those things here, and you will have the best program in the world. I promise you, okay? So now we're coming to the bonuses and guarantees, and I can almost guarantee you that this is an underestimated part that a lot of people just forget or think it's not important, but actually the psychology behind bonuses is so fucking important when it comes to creating an offer that people would feel dumb not to buy. And let me explain. Because on one side we have bonuses and on the other side we have guarantees, but I literally do the same thing. So first of all, we have the genius trick behind bonuses, and the thing is, the mind subconsciously thinks that the main core offer is more valuable than what the bonuses are. And now our trick is to literally make put so much value into the bonuses that the prospect or potential client thinks, okay, if those are the bonuses, then what is the main offer going to look like once I buy it? And so it's really important to actually make the bonuses more important, because if you're pitching your offer, you will always go over the bonuses. So you will show your value anyway, and you won't just like say, okay, we don't show the bonuses, you will show everything. And so you still show the same like offer, but you position it or frame it as the bonuses. And how you can position your or like present your bonuses is in this way. So first of all, write down what it will do for them, how it will improve their situation, and always provide social proof. For example, how much money would be saved, how much money it would actually cost, how much time would be saved. For example, yeah, this content template saved me 20 hours a week to create content and generated me over 10k, for example. And yeah, always include the price tag and always show the problems that will be solved in the future with this bonuses, which also again pushes the likelihood of succeed, because then the client sees, okay, you're actually caring about them and you actually know the next steps that they don't even know about, and so they will succeed because you're always prepared for the next problems that they are going to solve, which also is very important. And those are the bonuses, and the genius trick behind guarantees is also very obvious. Guarantees are a powerful sales lever, but again, people underestimate it. Okay, people really underestimate it. They think, okay, just a guarantee. But actually, if you are like proud of your guarantee and you also show this, then people also see that you're like literally not trying to hide it. Because if you hide it, it seems like you're not really like sure to fulfill it. But if you're really like don't downplay it and be bold, then it really shows that you're like also confident with your guarantee. So the promise of, and also the promise of zero risk obviously appeals to everyone, and you really gotta make it obvious that there is no risk. Okay, if you're like offering make money online, if you don't do this and this amount in this time, we will give you the money back, whatever. Okay, and so obviously, as I said again, I really want you to do actionable steps. So really think about which guarantee you want to choose. So we have 3 typical guarantees. The first one would be the unconditional guarantee, and so this basically is just an unconditional guarantee where you have no conditions and just say, okay, for example, 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. Does it do the job? Does it bring a lot of people into the door? Yes. Does it keep a lot of people, and does it keep your money in your bank account? Absolutely fucking not. I wouldn't really do it. Like, it's more for like some assurance things or something, but really for a high ticket offer, I wouldn't really recommend it. And what I would recommend to the most of you guys would be unconditional guarantee, because there you have like a condition. And there are 2 things that come to having a conditional guarantee. The first one would be that people don't just refund because they know they gotta do something, and the second thing, they actually do something. And as we know, we really want to build case studies, and we really want to have people get client results. And a lot of people mistaken that buying a coaching automatically gets them rich, gets them a good physique. But if they really understand that they have to do something, that they have to put in the work, then you will also get better results, because then they actually do it. And so one could be like, if you don't achieve XYZ in Y time, we will continue working with you for free until you do so. So this is really the lowest risk for you both, because you guarantee them to have the result, and you also know that you are not going to give them money back. You can also add that you will give them the money back. But you always say if you do attend calls and everything, because again, you as a coach or you as an info business, you can't magically make them money or give them a good physique. They always got to do something else. And so I really think conditional guarantee has like a good framing for the entire work together, and also like for the guarantee. And the third one, also for bigger people or bigger clients that they are doing, are the, yeah, we are so good in this market that if you don't fail, it's your fault, take it or leave it guarantee. Basically meaning you don't have a guarantee, and it also shows a lot of confidence, but I wouldn't do it, because sometimes you need to push people over the edge, and if you're not like the biggest guy in the space, it's really hard to have this confidence in yourself and also in the entire market. So this is the 3 guarantees, this is the entire process. Those are the 3 steps that you need to do in order to build a really irresistible offer that people would feel dumb not to buy. Again, it helped me to scale from $0 to $11,000 a month. And if you really watch this video to this point, I'm really proud of you, because that means that you're not just like someone that wanted to watch something while he eats, but actually wants to implement those things. But again, you as a coach also want your clients to implement those things themselves. So I would also really highly recommend to write those things down, actually implement them, and then thank me later. And I see you guys in the next video. Bye.